In this walkthrough, we're going to look at how to set up room types, configuring movable assets, and bed setups. To navigate to this section, go to the gear icon and select Rooms and Assets. Let's get started with setting up our bed configurations first. To set this up, navigate to Bed Configurations, which is your last option under this section. To add a bed configuration, select Add Bed Configuration and enter your bed configuration name. And save. Let's now review how to add a room type. Navigate to the Room Types section. To add a new room type, select Add Room Type. Every room type in Benson needs a minimum of a name, a description, and a minimum and maximum number of guests. Let's start by entering our room name, followed by our room description, and our minimum number of guests allowed and maximum number of guests allowed. These are the core details that define how this type of room appears in your reservations flow. We have various room type options. If your property has enabled non-adult guest categories such as teens, children, or infants, you can configure those options here. For example, my room allows infants. To select this option, simply select the tick box. The next section allows you to select the minimum age category, which allows you to stipulate the minimum age of a guest in a room on their own. For this example, I will be selecting adult. Next, select the minimum number of adults required before non-adult rates apply. After you have selected if you want infants, teens, or kids in the room. This is useful if you want to charge a base adult rate for the room, even if a child is staying. The next option is the exclusive use room type. Here is how this section works. Assign multiple room types to a single exclusive use room type. If a booking is made using that exclusive use room type, Benson will automatically block all related room types. Likewise, if one of the sub-room types is booked individually, Benson will block the exclusive use room type to avoid any double bookings. Rooms can be excluded from occupancy and will not be included in the occupancy calculations and will also be excluded from the performance and guests report. You can hide a room type's occupancy graph on the reservations overview calendar as well as from the guest count. If you do not want your dynamic formula to apply to this room type, you can select the option that states don't apply any dynamic formula to this room type. If you have any dynamic formulas with the option of using the entire property's availability and you do not want this room type to be part of the availability calculation, then use this option. This does not mean this room type does not get dynamic formula adjustments. It will only be excluded from the availability calculation. After you have selected Save, two additional options will reflect. where you have the ability to deactivate a room or delete it from your inventory completely. The next step in building your rooms is to add individual room types under the Rooms section. To add an individual room, select Add Room. You can name each room, and you don't need a description unless you feel this is required. You can add as many room types as required. The next option to cover within our room types is the gallery. Here you can upload photos for your web booking engine. Notice that we recommend a size of 600 by 475 pixels in JPEG format. The last option is your bed configurations. This will help your team to know which bed configurations are valid for which room type. To add a bed configuration, simply go to the upper right-hand corner and select Bed Configuration. Let's add the double and select Add. Let's add another bed configuration. Let's add the triple configuration. Select this in your drop-down menu and select Add. These bed configurations appear on the daily guest lists and help housekeeping prepare the room correctly. Let's now look at our movable assets section. What are movable assets? Movable assets are optional items that can be added to a room. This can be assigned rates as well. And movable assets are generally things such as baby cots or extra beds. To add a movable asset, select Add Movable Asset. Enter your movable asset name, a description, and the total of units that you have of this movable asset, and save. Once you have saved your movable asset, you can also deactivate it or delete it from your system completely. Movable assets need to be assigned to room types to let your team know which movable assets are valid for which room types. On your left-hand side menu, select Assign to Room Types and select Add to Room Type. In the drop-down, select the room this is valid for, the maximum number allowed per room, and save. Having your movable assets activated and the number of units entered will ensure that your team can never overbook the amount of extra cots or extra beds that you have on hand for property. Benson will keep track of how many are used each night to make sure you never overbook them. Charges for movable assets are added separately in the Movable Assets Rate section, which will be covered in our separate rates video walkthrough. And there you have it, our walkthrough on rooms, movable assets, and bed configurations.